You have undoubtedly encountered the profound, unsettling mystery of a dream so potent, so deeply saturated with the essence of a loved one who has passed, that the very fabric of reality seemed to stretch and thin around you. It is that moment of waking where the lingering presence is almost palpable, a feeling that defies rational dismissal and settles in the core of your being as an experience of undeniable truth. This is not the simple, fleeting trickery of a sleeping mind. It is a universal, documented phenomenon, a raw encounter with the ongoing reality of consciousness beyond the grave. The human soul instinctively recoils from the notion of absolute annihilation, and this ancient, persistent experience of communicating with the dead in the veil of night is the spiritual evidence that our intuition is correct. Allan Kardec, the meticulous investigator of the spiritual realm, did not merely propose theories. He compiled the definitive, structured answers to this great enigma. Through his rigorous and logical questioning of the spiritual plane, documented primarily in the Spirit's Book and the Medium's Book, he revealed a profound truth. The death of the physical body is merely a change in state, not an end to the soul, and the deep, persistent connection you feel with your departed is a verifiable scientific reality of the spirit world. Prepare to have your understanding of sleep, death, and human existence completely re-engineered by the organized moral and rational tenets of the Spiritist doctrine, which prove that the veil between the worlds is not a wall, but a porous membrane, easily navigated by the subtle mechanisms of the spirit. We will move beyond vague mysticism to grasp the precise laws that govern these sacred nocturnal meetings, equipping you with the knowledge to discern a psychological echo from an irrefutable visit. The foundational principle required to understand dreams of the deceased is the concept of spiritual emancipation, a fundamental truth that Allan Kardec established through exhaustive communication with the high spirits. Sleep, far from being a period of simple physical and mental rest, is in fact a time of temporary liberty for the soul. The Spiritist doctrine teaches that we are not physical beings having an occasional spiritual experience, but rather eternal spirits temporarily inhabiting a physical envelope, the body. During the waking hours, the soul, or the thinking principle, is firmly tethered to the physical brain, which acts as a filter, limiting and restricting the spirit's awareness to the narrow confines of the material world. However, when the body falls into repose, the soul begins a process of disengagement, slowly slipping the physical chains that bind it. This detachment is facilitated by the perispirit, often termed the semi-material or fluidic body, which acts as the subtle energetic link between the purely spiritual soul and the crude matter of the physical organism. As the body rests, the soul, clothed in its perispirit, distances itself from the physical vehicle, expanding its consciousness and regaining some of its natural faculties. In this state of partial freedom, the spirit is able to travel, meet other spirits, both embodied sleepers and disembodied, the deceased, and engage in the true life of the spirit world, entirely outside the restricted sensorial inputs of the physical body. This is the essence of why dreams feel so real, because they are in fact snippets of your soul's genuine experiences in the higher dimensions. While the connection via the perispirit remains, preventing complete severance and death, the soul is sufficiently free to interact with the environment of the spirit world, making it fully susceptible to receiving communications from those who have entirely discarded the physical frame. What you experience in a vivid dream of a loved one is not an illusion, but fragments of an astral encounter recalled by the still slumbering brain upon waking. To navigate the complex landscape of nocturnal experiences, it is essential to utilize the categorization provided by the high spirits through Kardec's inquiries, which distinguish three fundamental types of dreams involving the departed. This is the key to separating a product of the unconscious mind from a true transcendent encounter. The first category comprises psychological dreams, which are simply the mind's natural process of clearing and consolidating the day's events, memories, and deeply held emotions. In the case of grieving, the mind often conjures up images of the deceased as a mechanism to process loss, guilt, or unresolved feelings. These dreams are often chaotic, symbolic, and fade quickly, characterized by a lack of the deceased's authentic personality or coherent message. They are echoes, not visits. The second and most significant category is the true spiritual visitation, which is a direct, conscious, and often planned encounter initiated by a spirit of high moral standing or a deeply loved, evolved spirit. In these instances, the deceased spirit utilizes the favorable conditions of the sleeper's emancipated soul and relaxed perispirit to establish a clear line of communication. The purpose is specific: to offer proof of survival, deliver comfort, or provide moral guidance. This is the moment when the veil truly lifts, allowing for a shared reality between two distinct states of existence. The third category, which is an important subset of the second, is the dream of intervention or warning. Here, the communication is not merely consoling but utilitarian, where a protective or benevolent spirit intervenes to alert the embodied soul to future perils, guide them away from moral error, or inspire a course of action. Recognizing these three types is paramount, as it teaches us that while the mind can deceive, true spiritual encounters adhere to strict laws of coherence, purpose, and spiritual elevation, acting as an infallible guide to interpreting your own nocturnal experiences. In a world prone to superstition and self-deception, Allan Kardec offered a structured, rational methodology for distinguishing a genuine spiritual communication from the mere fabrication of the dreamer's mind, utilizing three irrefutable criteria. The first, and most immediately apparent, is the unmatched clarity and lucidity of the experience. If you recall your common dreams, they are typically a vague jumble, blurry, illogical fragments that melt away seconds after you open your eyes. A true spiritual visitation is the complete antithesis of this. It possesses a shocking, hyper-real clarity, a profound sharpness of detail that includes the distinct sound of the spirit's voice, the texture of the environment, and the unmistakable feeling of their authentic presence. The memory of this encounter does not decay. It is etched into your consciousness with a vividness that often makes the waking reality feel pale by comparison. This lucidity is the primary hallmark that your soul truly detached and met another consciousness in a shared, non-physical plane. The second crucial criterion is the coherence and moral consistency of the message. Superior spirits, who possess the necessary moral and mental power to effectively breach the dimensional wall, communicate with logic and purpose. Their messages are never contradictory, confusing, or morally trivial. They deliver clear, concise guidance, messages of peace or information that serves to elevate, console, or instruct the recipient. If the communication involves nonsensical speech, trivial commands, or actions that contradict the spirit's known character in life, it is likely a psychological echo, or worse, an influence from a lower, undeveloped spirit. The message must always be edifying and aligned with universal moral principles. Finally, the third criterion is the profound and transformative emotional impact. A genuine spiritual communication is never just an event, it is a catalyst for internal change. It possesses the power to leave an enduring mark on the soul, providing a deep, inexplicable sense of consolation during paralyzing grief, an immediate resolution to a seemingly insoluble problem, or an undeniable inspiration toward moral growth. It is this lasting, positive, emotional, and spiritual shift that provides the ultimate internal proof that what occurred was not a simple nocturnal fantasy, but a real and profound meeting with a consciousness that has survived the transition of death, driven by an enduring love. The deeply personal and often agonizing question, why do some beloved departed visit in dreams while others remain silent, finds its answer in the profound laws of the spiritual world concerning the spirit's immediate post-mortem condition. Allan Kardec taught that the ability of a disincarnate spirit to communicate is intrinsically linked not to the desire of the living, but to the state of their own spiritual tranquility. Spirits who faced death with serenity, accepted the change with resignation, and managed to detach from the intense magnetic pull of material concerns are in a higher state of vibration. They are lucid, calm, and able to freely navigate the spiritual spheres, making conscious, deliberate contact with loved ones who are asleep. They are in a state of harmonious equilibrium that facilitates the crossing of the dimensional fluidic field. Conversely, spirits who depart in states of high trauma, overwhelming grief, anger, remorse, or who are excessively attached to earthly life, wealth, or people, are said to remain in a condition of intense perturbation. This mental and emotional turmoil surrounds them like a suffocating spiritual cloud, dramatically lowering their spiritual frequency. In this chaotic state, their consciousness is often clouded, making them temporarily unable to perceive the world of the living clearly or to marshal the necessary will and fluidic energy required to establish a conscious, coherent communication. It is not a conscious choice to abandon the living. It is a temporary limitation of their own consciousness, a phase of recovery and adaptation to their new reality. Thus, when a spirit is absent from your dreams, it is often a silent plea, a signal that they are in need of your prayers, your benevolent thoughts, and your spiritual support to find the inner peace necessary to restore their lucidity and, ultimately, their capacity for clear communication. The power of your love, therefore, becomes a beacon, helping them emerge from the temporary darkness. The dynamic of communication between the embodied and disembodied is fundamentally governed by the principle of vibrational affinity, a cosmic law of attraction that dictates the quality of the spirits you encounter during your nocturnal emancipation. Kardec's extensive research revealed that the human soul, through its dominant thoughts, desires, and moral integrity, emits a continuous spiritual vibration or fluidic standard that acts as a magnet within the spiritual environment. During the highly receptive state of sleep, your mental standard becomes the ultimate determinant of the spirits you attract. A soul striving for moral elevation, cultivating thoughts of compassion, peace, study, and forgiveness, operates at a higher, finer vibration, creating a powerful resonance with the more evolved, beneficent spirits, your spiritual guides, protectors, and enlightened loved ones. This spiritual tuning fork effect ensures that when your soul detaches, it is instinctively drawn to the higher spheres, facilitating elevated counsel and serene encounters. Conversely, a soul habitually immersed in negative sentiments, anger, malice, self-pity, fear, or excessive materialism, lowers its vibration, creating an affinity with the less evolved, often suffering or even deceptive spirits of the lower spheres. Therefore, the frequency and clarity of the visits you receive are not dependent on luck, but on your own internal housekeeping. The quality of your spiritual life during the day directly determines the quality of your experiences at night. This profound law teaches a powerful lesson. To invite the most elevated and comforting communion with the spirit world, the necessary preparation is not a ritual, but the cultivation of a constantly elevated and morally pure state of mind, which creates the perfect atmospheric conditions for beneficial contact and acts as an automatic repellent to lower influences. Spiritual communications channeled through the dream state are rarely frivolous or random. They are always governed by a specific, profound, and often practical purpose that serves the moral and spiritual progression of the living. The intervention of the disincarnate is rooted in the universal principle of charity and is intended to benefit the embodied soul. One documented purpose is to provide consolation and irrefutable proof to those consumed by grief. By manifesting vividly, the deceased demonstrates that they are alive and well, fundamentally altering the survivor's perception of death and transforming a crippling loss into an acceptance of temporary separation. Another key purpose is guidance and warning. Benevolent spirits, possessing a broader view of the life path, may intercede to warn a person about an impending danger or to gently guide them away from a choice that would result in moral regression or suffering. The famous documented cases of spirits revealing the location of lost documents, hidden wills, or resolving long-standing familial disputes serve to illustrate the practical utilitarian aspect of these interventions. They prove that the spirit world is actively involved in the affairs of humanity, motivated by love to resolve material and moral problems when necessary. However, the overarching purpose, the common thread running through all genuine spiritual contact, is always moral edification. Every true communication, whether through a dream or direct mediumship, aims to strengthen the recipient's faith, inspire them to greater charity, encourage self-reflection, and move them closer to the universal moral laws. The spirits do not visit to dispense material fortune or grant easy escapes. They visit to remind us of our spiritual nature and our eternal responsibilities. While the freedom of the soul during sleep opens the door to sacred encounters with enlightened guides and beloved family, Allan Kardec issued a solemn and necessary warning regarding the potential for inferior spiritual influences during this highly receptive state. Not all disincarnate spirits are benevolent or evolved. There exists a legion of undeveloped, suffering or intentionally malevolent spirits who may attempt to utilize the sleeper's emancipated state to exert negative influence or suggest immoral actions. Since the perispirit connection is tenuous and the will is less active during sleep, the embodied soul is more susceptible to these insidious suggestions, which can manifest as terrifying nightmares, feelings of oppression, or the subsequent awakening with inexplicable fear, anxiety, or destructive ideas. This potential for nocturnal obsession makes conscious preparation an act of spiritual self-defense. Kardec taught that the moments immediately preceding sleep are spiritually critical. The mind, just before passing into unconsciousness, should be deliberately filled with the highest possible thoughts, feelings of profound gratitude, sincere forgiveness, unconditional love for all beings, and an honest desire for self-improvement. Prayer in this context transcends ritual. It becomes a powerful, focused act of the will, creating a fluidic shield of high vibration around the perispirit, ensuring that only spirits of a similar, elevated nature can approach. By consciously sanctifying the sleep environment, you transform your bedroom into a spiritual sanctuary, ensuring that your nocturnal travels are protected and guided only by your most compassionate mentors, actively repelling any spirit seeking to exploit your vulnerability for selfish or harmful purposes. A specific and tender chapter in the phenomenon of dreams with the deceased occurs during the immediate post-mortem transition period, a duration that can span weeks or even months following the body's passing. Spiritist teaching clarifies that the act of disincarnation is rarely instant. There is a phase of adaptation where the spirit, particularly one with strong earthly ties, remains magnetically connected to the physical location, the objects, and, most intensely, the people they loved. During this phase, the spirit is often in a highly sensitive state, deeply aware of the grief and yearning of the survivors. It is precisely because of this sustained magnetic connection that dreams featuring the newly departed are frequently the most vivid, the most emotionally charged, and the most frequent. The intense, unsevered thread of love acts as a powerful, low-resistance bridge between the spirit in its new, erratic state and the sleeping, embodied soul. These dreams serve a dual purpose. They are the spirit's attempts to communicate their survival and well-being, to console the bereaved. And they are also a function of the spirit working through its own residual earthly attachments. The presence often feels raw and overwhelmingly real, a direct reflection of the powerful, immediate energetic connection. Over time, as the spirit becomes more accustomed to its new home, detaches from the material plane, and progresses in lucidity, the dreams may become less frequent, but simultaneously more serene and elevated. The initial intensity is a natural, necessary manifestation of the final separation process, a final, profound attempt by the disincarnate to assure their loved ones that the relationship, though transformed, remains inviolable and eternal, anchored by the indissoluble power of affection. One of the most compassionate and often unrecognized functions of spiritual communication through the dream state is the provision of spiritual therapy and guidance to those who are suffering deeply in the material world. Spiritist principles assert that many profound physical, emotional, and psychological illnesses, such as chronic depression, existential anxiety, and deep-seated phobias, have their roots not in biochemistry alone, but in spiritual imbalances, past life traumas, or the negative influences of obsessing spirits. During sleep, when the soul is emancipated, highly evolved benefactors, acting as genuine spiritual physicians and therapists, may intervene with the permission of higher command. They visit the suffering soul in the astral plane, offering a form of deep-level healing and psychological reorientation. These therapeutic sessions are not always remembered consciously, but they work directly on the perispirit and the spirit's consciousness, providing targeted treatment, energetic realignment, or profound psychological counsel. The embodied person may wake up feeling inexplicably lighter, with a renewed sense of purpose, or with the immediate solution to a long-standing psychological block. In cases of spiritual obsession, the intervention may involve the benevolent spirits working with the embodied soul to rationally enlighten the obsessing spirit, addressing the root cause of the negative attachment. These interventions are often delivered through powerful symbolic dreams or clear guiding narratives that, upon waking, impart a deep, intuitive sense of peace and direction, proving that the highest form of medical intervention for the soul often occurs beyond the waking gaze, demonstrating the spirit world's profound commitment to human well-being and moral health. An understandable human desire is for constant, uninterrupted communication with the loved ones who have departed. Yet the spiritual world operates under a set of immutable, wise principles, often referred to as divine economy, which regulate and restrict the frequency of visitations. Allan Kardec's inquiries revealed that this regulation is in place not to punish the living, but to preserve their necessary moral and spiritual development while embodied. If the deceased were able to appear every night, the living would inevitably develop an excessive emotional dependency, constantly seeking advice and consolation, which would entirely bypass the necessity of exercising their own free will, judgment, and personal resilience, the very qualities the embodied life is intended to cultivate. Life on Earth is a school of trial, and the curriculum requires the student to make choices, commit errors, learn from suffering, and develop independence. Constant spiritual intervention would render these lessons meaningless. Furthermore, excessive contact with the spiritual plane could easily lead to an unhealthy preoccupation with the invisible world, drawing the embodied person away from their material duties and responsibilities, which are equally vital to their current evolutionary stage. Therefore, the high spirits permit communication only when it is truly necessary, when consolation is critical, when the person faces a moral precipice, or when guidance is required for the greater good. The infrequency of visits is thus a sign of benevolent wisdom, a spiritual boundary designed to foster the independence, strength, and faith of the embodied soul, ensuring that our progress is earned, sustained, and directed by our own choices, rather than dictated by the constant presence of the departed. We stand now at the close of this profound inquiry, armed with the rational, deeply comforting knowledge provided by the Spiritist doctrine. The sleep you enter into each night is not oblivion, but a sacred opportunity, a periodic return to your intrinsic spiritual state. The truth established by Allan Kardec, corroborated by countless documented experiences, like those of Chico Xavier and others, is singular and undeniable. You are an eternal consciousness, and the bonds of genuine love are the most potent and indissoluble force in all of creation. These spiritual laws confirm that the separation caused by physical death is temporary, a mere transformation in the method of communication, not an end to the relationship itself. The clarity, the moral elevation, and the transformative impact of a true visitation serve as irrefutable proof that the deceased are alive, aware, and capable of intervening in your life. By understanding the mechanisms of the perispirit, the principles of vibrational affinity, and the wisdom of divine economy, you possess the map to navigate this transcendent reality. Your daily life, your thoughts, and your moral conduct are the keys to unlocking the highest forms of nocturnal communion. May you approach every night with a heart prepared for gratitude and a mind focused on peace, recognizing that your time of repose is a moment of potential sacred reunion, a continuous affirmation that love is the bridge, the guarantee, and the ultimate purpose that ties all souls, whether embodied or disembodied, into the eternal tapestry of life.